Welcome back, everyone. So, what happens when the AI revolution stops being just, a prediction and literally becomes our daily reality? Well, we're finding out right now. Let's dive into this massive wave of updates we're seeing across the board. We're looking at a ripple effect that's jumping from how we structure our daily grind all the way up to massive global power struggles over data and identity. In this explainer, we're going to look straight at the facts from the latest reports, taking a highly structured look at how rapidly this tech is just integrating into the real world. To really make sense of all of this, we're breaking it down into 5 quick chapters. We've got the digital cloning of workers, new societal threats, AI predicting the future, the war over digital identity, and of course, the relentless big tech arms race. All right, let's jump right into chapter 1, the digital cloning of workers. So, a quiet modern rebellion has literally erupted in China's tech sector. Managers at major companies recently ordered their workers to thoroughly document all of their daily knowledge, workflows, technical skills, the whole shebang, into these massive corporate files. Now, the underlying goal here was incredibly obvious to the employees, right? Management wanted to capture human expertise to train AI agents to do their exact jobs. But the workers fought back. They started using this fascinating tool called anti-distal skill. And what this tool does is profoundly clever. It takes an employee's raw documentation and completely rewrites it. It makes the text look incredibly professional, verbose, and highly detailed to keep management happy, but it quietly strips out all the actual critical insights, shortcuts, and trade secrets that make that specific human employee irreplaceable. It's basically the ultimate countermeasure to corporate digital cloning. They're literally using automation to protect their own human value. And this fear of replacement? It isn't just paranoia, it is playing out openly in the market right now. Just look at Snap. They recently laid off 16% of their workforce. That is a staggering 1,000 people. And here's the kicker. The internal memo sent to the staff didn't point the finger at a broader economic downturn or declining user engagement or bad market conditions. No, the paradox here is incredibly thick. Snap is blaming the very AI technology it relies on for replacing the people who helped build it in the first place. They specifically cited the rapid advancement of machine learning as the primary driver for fundamentally restructuring their human capital. Crazy, right? The implications here are absolutely far-reaching. Chinese tech companies are already taking the archived message histories, emails, and project files of departed employees and feeding them into large language models to create digital twins. They want to preserve that institutional knowledge forever. So it forces all of us to ask a really tough question. Is the push for knowledge sharing today just building the infrastructure to replace our workforce tomorrow? Think about it. When documenting your workflow effectively trains your artificial successor, the very definition of being a team player in the corporate world becomes incredibly complicated. And hey, it's really important to realize this isn't just isolated to digital, desk-bound knowledge work. Physical labor is undergoing the exact same rapid shift. Japan Airlines is openly combating a severe nationwide labor shortage alongside record-breaking tourism. And their approach? Deploying fully humanoid baggage robots at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Japan Airlines isn't hiding this shift at all. The solution to their labor crisis isn't just, a new hiring campaign. It's literal humanoid robots handling your luggage right alongside human employees. You don't have to read about this in some sci-fi novel. You can literally just buy a ticket to Tokyo in May and watch it happen right there on the tarmac. Okay, moving on to Chapter 2, New Threats and Vulnerabilities. 90 seconds. That is literally all it takes for a cybercriminal on networks like Telegram to completely bypass supposedly foolproof biometric bank security. Using real-time deepfake images and videos, malicious actors are actively defeating Face ID systems and banking apps that are meant to secure our life savings. What used to require, Ocean's 11 levels of sophisticated hacking, intense planning, and deep coding knowledge, that now costs a bad actor $20. The sheer speed of this threat is just alarming because it democratizes high-level cybercrime. It turns facial recognition from a core security feature into a massive vulnerability practically overnight. Beyond the financial sector, we are seeing the real-world legal boundaries of AI being put to the test in the absolute most tragic of circumstances. The family of Robert Morales, who was tragically killed during a mass shooting at a university in Florida, is actively suing OpenAI. They claim the shooter regularly consulted ChatGPT in the days leading up to the massacre, essentially using the chatbot as a sounding board or advisor. If this lawsuit moves forward and is proven, it fundamentally shifts the entire landscape of legal liability for tech companies. It raises an incredibly difficult question. If an algorithm provides guidance, who is legally responsible for the actions taken based on what those models tell people? Compounding these immediate security and legal threats is a profound issue deep within the very architecture of the AI itself. A highly significant study, recently published in the journal Nature, reveals that large AI models can actually pass dangerous, unwanted behaviors down to their offspring. This happens entirely through hidden signals embedded in the massive data sets they ingest. So imagine a software engineer builds a new AI model on top of the outputs of an older AI model. While that new version can inherit dangerous blind spots or biases that nobody ever actually programmed into them. It operates almost like hidden digital genetics that we barely even understand, passing down flaws silently from one generation of software right to the next. Which brings us to Chapter 3, AI Predicting the Future. Now, before we get entirely lost in the dystopian side of all this technological progress, it is absolutely vital to understand the sheer life-saving potential of these models. Consider the massive leap happening right now in meteorology. A highly trained human meteorologist, backed by traditional supercomputers, can accurately predict a deadly storm about 5 to 7 days out. Now, that's enough time to issue warnings and evacuate a city, sure, but it is definitely not enough time to build protective infrastructure, divert critical resources, or save an entire farming season. AI models, however, are now accurately predicting major weather disasters about 3 weeks in advance. The AI is detecting microscopic atmospheric patterns across global data that no human could possibly read. It is completely revolutionizing how human civilization prepares for catastrophic events. Similarly, over in the healthcare space, the leap is just nothing short of astonishing. Scientists out of Oxford built a specialized AI tool that scans standard routine health data and identifies the specific risk of heart failure a full 5 years before the disease ever develops. They rigorously tested this on 72,000 patients in England, and it achieved an incredible 86% accuracy rate. And the best part? It doesn't require any complex new medical tests or millions of dollars in experimental equipment. The algorithm simply sees subtle correlations in standard blood work and patient history that a human doctor just can't catch. This means we're shifting medicine from treating a catastrophe after it happens to simply preventing it years in advance. It's a total game changer. Let's pivot to Chapter 4, the war over identity. This war over digital DNA is already hitting pop culture in a massive, massive way. On April 24th, Taylor Swift's management team launched a preemptive strike. They filed 3 sweeping trademark applications for her voice and physical likeness. Now, make no mistake, this wasn't just another merchandising or branding move. No. This was a declaration of war over her digital self. There is a growing, entirely valid fear in the entertainment industry right now that generative AI will perfectly replicate an artist's voice, synthesize entirely new videos, and literally put words in their mouths that they never actually said. She is moving aggressively to legally lock down her digital DNA before anyone else can commercialize or exploit it. And, this intense battle over ownership extends way beyond celebrities. It's playing out on a massive geopolitical scale. We recently saw this when Mark Zuckerberg offered $2 billion to acquire Mannequinus, a viral autonomous agent startup based out of China. Almost immediately, the Chinese government stepped in. They announced a strict new rule requiring explicit government approval before any Chinese tech company could accept major American investment. So China steps in and effectively blocks the sale. And that proves a stark new reality. The AI war is no longer just about controlling microchips and hardware trade sanctions. It is a fundamental global battle over who actually owns the companies pushing the frontier of artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, the foundational rules of how AI actually learns are being completely challenged from within the industry itself. David Silver, the brilliant researcher famous for creating AlphaGo, has launched a highly ambitious new lab called Ineffable Intelligence. And his radical goal? He wants to build an artificial intelligence that learns without training on any human-generated text, photographs, or conversations. Let that sink in. Every single AI we know today acts like a mirror, relying entirely on scraped human content to learn how to speak, draw, and reason. Silver's trying to completely shatter that mirror. He wants to break that foundational rule and force the system to generate its own logic totally from the ground up. And let me tell you, the financial market absolutely believes in this vision. He raised a staggering $1.1 billion in just a few short months for a company that barely even existed on paper. Think about that level of investment for a second. Silicon Valley and global investors are pouring unprecedented capital into the mere possibility of rewriting the rules of the AI world from scratch. It really highlights just how desperate the industry is to find the next major paradigm shift, one that isn't bottlenecked by human data. Finally, let's look at Chapter 5, the Big Tech Arms Race. So all of these societal shifts are being fueled by relentless, rapid-fire updates from the world's biggest tech companies. OpenAI is iterating at a blistering pace right now. They've pushed out a new child safety framework, a $100 pro plan for power users, and GPT Image 2, which introduces incredibly complex image blending. But honestly, the deeper workflow changes are the most profound. They've introduced GPT 5.5 with an auto-review feature that deeply checks its own logic before it even answers you. They're dropping tools like Codex 5.5, which literally allows the AI to take control of your web browser to click, scroll, and do deep research for you automatically. Oh, and they're integrating ChatGPT straight into Google Sheets so you can analyze massive datasets without knowing a single formula. This rapid deployment is completely altering education and work. I mean, a recent Gallup study shows that 57% of students now use AI every single day. They're seamlessly weaving it into their academic lives, even in institutions that actively try to ban it. Not to be outdone, Google is racing right back with incredible tools designed to keep you firmly planted in their ecosystem. They just released AI Edge Eloquent for flawless, entirely on-device voice transcription, meaning your private audio never even has to go to the cloud. They've built their flagship model Gemini directly into a dedicated Mac app for seamless access. But perhaps most notably, they've launched a platform called Agent Space alongside a tool named Jules, which is an AI developer agent. Jules literally reads the product context, writes the software code, and autonomously submits those code changes, known in the tech world as pull requests, completely automatically. Think about that. The act of writing software is beginning to automate itself. It's creating this wild loop where AI improves the tools that build better AI. And finally, we have Anthropic, scaling massively to challenge both of them. They've recently jumped to an astounding $30 billion in annualized revenue. To fuel their next big leap, Anthropic has secured gigawatt-scale compute power. I mean, that means they are tying up literal power plants worth of energy in deals with Google and Broadcom just to train future generations of their model Claude. On the product side, they just dropped Claude Opus 4.7 with a vastly improved vision capabilities and introduced something called routines. Now, routines allow Claude to run autonomously in the background of your computer. It can quietly respond to events, sort your emails, or update databases without you ever even prompting it. They are fundamentally moving AI from a chatbot you talk to a silent employee just working away in the background. So as these massive tech giants build agents that collaborate, write their own code, and execute tasks autonomously in the background, it leaves us with one incredibly vital question. If AI can seamlessly join forums, write coherent posts, and manufacture the illusion of a public consensus that never actually existed, what is going to happen in the coming election cycles? If basic deepfakes and automated networks are just the beginning, can our core democratic institutions withstand this invisible war for our minds? It is easily the most critical challenge we face as this technology continues to integrate into our reality. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and you better believe we will keep tracking these rapid developments as they unfold.